And let me start by introducing the person that is going to take us on today's topic. I'm pleased to welcome Mr. Uduak Udo. Mr. Uduak is going to take us on today's topic that reads Driving Efficiency in Building Fire Safety Management, Businesses and FM Operational Readiness. We all know what it means to say, or the term operational readiness means. Mr. Uduak is going to extensively explain what we, the upcoming facility managers, or we facility managers ambassadors, are expected to do when we talk about operational readiness in terms of safety management. Mr. Uduak Udo holds a diploma qualification in industrial maintenance engineering from Yaba College of Technology with a distinction grade. He's a technical support specialist with over 10 years experience that tracks on competency and has demonstrated skills in administrative and engineering management. He's the technical director of ETS Engineering Limited, a technical safety and maintenance engineering company that has a robust C-suite managerial framework for workplace productivity and business sustainability. He is also a corporate service facilities cluster manager at New Central Media Limited, where he sits as a member and a general secretary to the Procurement and Project Committee Advisory Board. With relevant work experience and skills in diversified engineering field, bidding and costing, project procurement, quality, health and safety and environment, business development, facility management, technical safety, machinery, mechanical and electrical maintenance, metal welding and fabrication, and data analysis coupled with project pre-assessment qualification, site safety planning, facility operations, and industrial maintenance methodologies. It is so obvious and well written that Mr. Uduak has profound experience in delivering this topic. He actively participates with the NIC Ikeja branch, YIFON. He is a registered member of Association of Facility Management Professionals of Nigeria and IFMA Nigerian chapter, en route to attaining his CFM credentials. Uduak Udo have the privilege of serving as a facility member, a faculty member, and ambassador with Max Me Gold Management Training Institute, a robust training initiative that supports industry growth, continuous professional development, creates an FM mentorship forum, elevates operational excellence and sustainability trends. He co-founded a total facilities maintenance management startup that seamlessly acts as a user interface between the demand organization and an on-demand competent and registered building management system to deliver quality and cost-effective soft and hard services FM requests. The startup also trains high-skilled graduates on choosing vocational trades, mentoring sessions, and business awareness initiative for independent ventures. He's a goal-driven to continually stimulate vocational skills amongst young and motivated champs, regardless of the educational level, for a sustainable future. So we are pleased to have Mr. Uduak. As we have read from his profile, he has a profound knowledge in the environmental or the built environment system. And one of the things that I can take from his profile is that regardless of your level of education or qualification, Mr. Uduak is ready to explain and to break down things to your understanding. So, Mr. Uduak, we are so pleased to welcome you. And we also, I know I saw you when your name came on board for the scholarship program. I would also like to say congratulations to that and to tell you that the floor is yours. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Obi. I really appreciate it. And also to Mr. Chinedu too, for putting this up so that we could all share experiences and also learn together too. And I also want to warmly welcome every participant into this discussion because it's going to be a discussion. Yes, I'll be presenting my slides, but at the end of it, we're going to discuss on how we could effectively manage our buildings when it comes to fire safety, and also how we can integrate our own personal skills, and also how we can also manage stakeholders, top management. It's always not easy, right? But we would see practical examples and experience how we could manage the top management when implementing and integrating safety and thereafter fire safety into facility. So I want to welcome everyone once again. I know our time has far spent, but I know a couple of the next hour, it's something that would have gained a lot, even though we are quite few here, but it's not by the quantity, but quality information we have to receive and also find ways to also share with our colleagues, right? Our friends and also those who are also in the built environment. So before we go fully into today's discussion, I just wanted one volunteer, please. I know we all manage different facilities. Uh, has there been any um, incident you must have experienced with respect to fire safety? Was there any issue you had, uh, uh, fire incident in your facility? What was the root cause and how were you able to manage it? I just wanted just a brief um, uh, um, information sharing on your experience with fire safety in your premises, especially when you had an incident and how you were able to fight the fire. Please, if you have any, please just signify, just briefly, and then we could now kickstart the program. Okay. Okay, maybe during our discussion time, I'm certain questions will be raised and probably by then experiences will be shared. All right, so I'd like to share my screen and so that we could kick off, please. So please, can you confirm? Okay. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it, Mr. Uduak.
Okay, okay, all right. Thank you so much. So we'll be discussing in depth, extensively about FM operations, how we can be operationally ready on our sites, and also how that can improve our business operations too by it being efficient when it comes to fire safety management. And the main reason is for us to enhance our safety, compliance, regulatory compliance, and also sustainability, not just for 1 to 2 years, but for years, decades. So now we could always continue to improve on the culture and also how we can always implement it. So our course models are streamlined to 4 key areas of fire safety. As facilities managers, fire safety is always key. In fact, safety on its own, it's always an integral part of every facility, right? So we're able to see the first model we'll be talking about FM role in buildings fire safety plan. And there's always need for us to have a fire safety plan available readily on site. And we'll also be seeing ways we can integrate this plan with our security systems and even our emergency response plan. So because they all work and we'll also be seeing FM site key challenges. So we'll be discussing about challenges we might be facing on site, and with these challenges, what are the ways we could be able to we might not be able to eliminate those challenges, but how can we continue to control those challenges? And over time, certainly these challenges will be eliminated from our operations on site. So we'll be looking at some key challenges that we might certainly be facing on site, and also see best practices for fire safety or operational readiness. So these best practices, we'll be looking at these best practices, and we'll also be saying FM fire safety planned preventive control measures. So what are the control measures we'll be implementing on our site for us to be fire hazard free, and also how we can always fight them. So, and thereafter we'll be having a case study of, I won't say the most recent one, because of each day we keep on hearing issues on a fire incident. I think the recent one is at Kaduna, but we'll be having a brief discussion on like a case study of the one that happened in MM1, which is Lagos, Nigeria. What were the root causes, and with all, what would we conclude could always be the cause of fire outbreak, or whenever we experience that in our facility. So those are the things we'll be discussing this evening, and we'll be seeing how we could always try to get something good out of it. So before we start, I just want us to feel a bit calm, and should you have any questions, just take note of the questions. We'll look at all the questions and see practical ways we could find solutions to those challenges, those problems on sites, and how we can always continue to be effective while we are undertaking our duties as facilities managers too. So we'll kick off with the first module, right? Facility management department and buildings fire safety plan during the planning, design, construction, testing and commissioning, handover, and operation and maintenance phases. So we'll be looking at it in an holistic view as a department, right? And we'll be looking at it as a singular form, which is as an FM, all right? Because of, it's always good for us to know that the FM department works one. We have different roles in that department. So how can they unify to make sure that they achieve a safe facility, which would always have better ways of handling it, and how we can always prevent fire outbreak. So the FM department plays a key role in ensuring fire safety throughout a building development cycle. So you may be asking, what is this building development cycle? It's just the entire process for a building structure to come in place, right? So we've just made mention of them. It starts with a planning phase. For instance, probably an RIS building. Okay, we need to get this. We need to provide accommodation for outlet, for shortlet, for different reasons, right? At that point, you're planning for you to set up a solution to a particular problem, right? So that's what the development cycle is. It starts with the planning stage, then it goes over to the design stage. Then after the design stage, then we have contractors come in for the construction phase. After the building has been constructed, developed, all good, the as-built is there, then all the assets in there, the test and commission. We'll be looking at difference between the test and commission, because most times people try to mesh them together, but testing is just to check for functionality, that whatever has been installed is working. The commission is to make sure that what was installed serves the purpose. That's just it. So you test that, yes, it's working, but is it serving the purpose? Then you are commissioning. So we're looking at how we can always implement this phase, during all this phase, for us to be safety conscious with respect to future experience on we having any fire outbreak. Then after the project has been completed, it has been commissioned, then it needs to be handed over, right? Probably to the from the property owner to the facility management company, and therein normal operation and maintenance takes in. So with respect to all this development cycle, all these phases, the FM department is to make sure that such building is fire compliant, in the sense that there should not be any risks related to any fire outbreak, right? So as facilities managers, we are always driving that force, not to come in during the handover stage or during the operation and maintenance stage. We are driving that narrative that it should start from the planning stage, right? That is what we should always kick in. We should not come in after the job has been completed, then we're just there to operate and maintain. No, we are drivers. We provide input across all phases. So we should always change that narrative. We should always come in at the initial stage. And at times it's always hard for us to come in at the initial stage during the planning phase. But with the way we do our work, the way we interact with top management, the way they perceive how we take our work serious and how we communicate effectively, then they could always draw us close for us to always come in during the planning stage. So it requires a lot of effort, requires a lot of competency and also transparency and trust for us to come in during the planning stage, not during the operation and maintenance phase or probably the handover phase. So facility managers are the prime movers that we need to plan, right? Prevent, protect, and prepare in order to maintain a safe environment for all subscribers. That's the users of that particular building or facility which you're managing. So this is just a background and framework of how FM comes in when it comes to fire safety. There's one key thing an FM should have in mind. It starts with the attitude. You would agree with me that most fire outbreak you see are always human error. Yes, they're always human error. It does not just come by chance. It's not a rocket science that a particular building gets engulfed with fire. No, it comes with something. It comes with a human error. Suppose all checks are always done regularly and documented, certain that we will have a free fire outbreak in our facility. So it starts with the attitude. So as a facility manager, what is my attitude to work when it comes to taking my day-to-day operations in a way that signifies that, yes, I am willing to work and I'm willing to make sure that there are no escalations and everywhere it's operating effectively. So it starts with our attitude. So if we have the right frame of mind, the right attitude, certainly we won't have any fire outbreak in our facility. Then we can be able to eliminate that factor, human factor, that is always the root cause of every fire outbreak. Now, as a facilities manager, how do you support the fire safety plan? It's always good for us to know that as a facility manager, you either provide input or you drive the process. So it's always good for us to know that whenever projects are ongoing, we should always take notes of each phases, which we've seen in the development cycle, starting from the planning to the operation and maintenance. First is that facilities manager, they conduct a site pre-qualification fire safety risk assessments. There's no way you go wherein there's no risk assessment. There's always risks everywhere due to unsafe acts or unsafe condition, the environment itself. So it's always best for us to conduct a pre-qualification fire safety risk assessment. So what are the things that could pose risks? What are the risks that could pose danger to a fire outbreak? So these are the things we document, we take notes, and we try to find a way to eliminate such. We need to also understand the operating and maintenance procedures of all installed fire safety equipment. So we have different firefighting safety equipment, right from the FM200 or the Novec 1234, and we have the fire alarm system, we have the hydrants line, the sprinkler system. So these are assets that have already been installed. They are fire safety equipment engineered to prevent, to fight, and to eliminate any possible risks of a fire outbreak. So we need to understand how these assets are operated and what are the maintenance plan to those assets. We need to also find a way to integrate the overall facility security systems and the emergency response plan. From experience, safety department is always having one or two issue with the security department. Why? Because of the security department says that all exit door based on security measures should be closed. But safety is saying no, it needs to be open because should there be a fire outbreak or an emergency, these are the routes that people need to take so that they could go to a safe place. But they've been able to benchmark and to provide a balance to each department. That's why if we notice in any high-rise building, each floor, there's always a security operative, right? That has access and also monitor those routes, those exit routes. So it should be open, but you should have a security officer there to monitor what is happening on that floor. So that is how it is. So with a facility manager in place, they try to balance the security systems and also the emergency response plan, so that whenever there's a fire outbreak or there's an issue, they would know how to communicate effectively with the speakers and also with the alarms that rings whenever such happens with the fire alarm system. So these are things the FM come in place when developing a fire safety plan. They also actively are in contact with the nearest territory governmental fire safety department. This is always the critical part where people are always asking this same question. Should I get registered and also pay for the compliance fee, either for the federal territory or for the state territory? These are questions people ask. Why would I now spend more to get registered with fire safety on the federal side and also on the state side? But it's always best, right, to make sure that we get registered. They come and evaluate our site to make sure that it is safety compliant. They check for everything that could cause risks. They will try to mitigate it before they will give out that certificate. But this is what you should think. Which is nearer to my facility? Is it the state or the federal? Right? So you start with which is nearer to your facility. Then if you're having issues with management, renewing or having the federal at the other end, then you could be proactive to have contact of people there that are there to come in as a backup plan. So whenever the states, probably you've called in the states, there's a fire incident, for instance, and it's creating an issue, you've called in the states, but they are not quickly responding, right? But you have a backup plan to get a federal side of it to come in and fight that fire. So you can see. So it's either you renew boats or you get boats, or you get one which is closer to your facility, but have a backup plan so that you can have contacts of those in the other authority. And your good relationship with them would always make them want to respond fast. So even if you have with the state, they'll always respond fast. If you have the federal, but it's always good for you to have a backup plan, a backup system that works. And that is why it's good for you to have a contact which would be embedded into that fire safety plan in your facility. Also to monitor on-site projects to meet compliance policy, work permit, safety induction. So there are ad hoc jobs that goes on your site, projects that require hot work, cold work, work at heights, and different things. So it's always good for you to know that this plan covers the aspect of you training and instructing new inductees for them to understand how your site works, right? For you to be able to know that, okay, this job hazard, and these are the control measures for it. These are the work orders. These are the proper way of doing the work. And it's always good when you are on your site, right? And a vendor comes in and said, okay, I need to join these two pieces of metals together to create a structure. There should be a line per line item on how a job will be done. And you need to have a risk assessment of each of the work methodology on if there are any risks associated with it and what are the control measures to prevent or eliminate that risk. So these are things you need to know and understand on your site so that whatever jobs are being done, you're able to be on it to make sure that there's no risks that could cause any fire outbreak. So these are just a summary of what FM does when it comes to fire safety plan or on their involvement with fire safety. First, it starts with their attitude, right? And then they try to see how they can plan, prevent, and work in a way that they really are intentional to make sure that there's no risk associated with any job done for there to cause any fire outbreak. And it is very, very key we keep this close in mind. But now let's talk about the challenges, right? There are always different challenges on sites. You could be facing one and you could find a preventive way of making sure you're able to manage it. But we'll just talk about 6 of them and they are practical. At times, there are delay for fire safety upgrades. Just like we made mention of the state or federal fire safety certificates, and you need to upgrade it every year annually. It needs to be upgraded, but they're saying the budget for it is not there, and we can't get hold of it. And you're always sending reminders and all. These are things that comes up challenges on our side. What of the need to have fire safety training every 6 months? Is good for you to have to train your colleagues, your staff, those subscribers in the building on how they can fight a fire and ways they can do things to make sure that there's no fire outbreak in their kitchens. I know you can't go into their living space, right? But you can train them on how they can be safety conscious to prevent any fire outbreak. So these are things that are limited and they are not always in place. Why? Because there's no budget for it. Why will we pay about 315,000 just for training, just to talk plenty and plenty and plenty. And after 6 months, there's no fire outbreak. So should there be a fire outbreak until we now incorporate this fire training? So these are questions that come up, but it's always good for us to know that no matter how challenging it is, we should always do our best to implement and also to propose it. Yes, there are evidences when we propose them, they are not acted on. We send reminders. Yes, there are evidence that we've done our part and we try to mitigate any form of risk that could cause any fire outbreak. At times, always you see it's very hard to find companies doing fire drills, right? And because they feel they didn't capture it in their capital expenditure, so they feel fire drill should not be. But these are things, challenges facility managers face in their facility. One again with stakeholders differences, the difference. They tend to defer the need for them to implement fire safety into their curriculum. Fire safety programs are less prioritized, especially from top management. They feel it's not needed, right? They are more concerned about their core operations, and they feel it's peripheral just to get fire safety into place. So, but with that, they try to delay decisions, they try to slow the process, they try to give excuses why there's no funds, you've exceeded the previous budget. A lot of things comes, you are not having revenue at this point in time, and they are deferring the need to integrate a fire safety program into the organization. These are things that may probably be facing the organization. The third is process inconsistency, excessive workload from zero division of labor. You know, as facilities manager, even though you're working a 9 to 5 job Monday to Friday, there are still days you need to work Saturday, Sunday. And imagine the workload of you managing about 2 to 3 facilities, right? And for you to now get hold of each of the process, there are different process when it comes to we managing our facility. And that's one thing that keeps us afloat. The process and also the documentation. So imagine I'm to always manage my working around every day to take notes of some um, fire safety protocols. And they are calling me on another side that, okay, I need to get there and do something. Calls are also coming from another side. You're the only one, the workload is on you. And these are things you face, right? There's a stopgap. There's some data that you need to always send a report monthly with respect to fire safety. But all these things are not there. Why? Because of the process is not there. You start, but you don't complete it. Or you start and you have missing data. So excessive workload could weigh down facility managers and they could miss out on some key things they need to do to manage the process. And with that, you see stop gaps everywhere. And before you know, routine inspections are no more done as effective again. In fact, when it's being done, they are not documented. So the process becomes inconsistent. These are things we might face on site that could affect we being fire safety conscious on our site. The fourth one, which we'll discuss, is inadequate staff training. So at times, some facility does not have fire safety marshals or a first responder that whenever there's an issue, they are the one that would step in and fight the fire. Or for instance, whenever they need to undergo trainings with respect to how they can handle and also operate a fire extinguisher, trainings are not there. So best practices are not even in place. These are things we face on our side when it comes to training. And just like we've learned, biannual, every 6 months, it should be updated that every staff, every occupant should be trained on how to fight a fire, on how to prevent fire, right? But if these trainings are not there, it becomes a problem. And whenever there's a fire outbreak, you could see it keep spreading, right? Because they don't know the next step to take just to fight that fire. These are things we face on our site. One thing again, especially for those that have been handling facility of about 20, 25 years, the structure itself, the assets does not want to diminish. It's still there, right? But it keeps going because of the process that have been in there and also the maintenance culture. But yet, management is yet to take that step to get new assets, to modify the process, to modify the system. It becomes a problem. So whenever the fire safety equipment are aging, these are things that could cause challenge. So, because at times you could just start hearing false alarm. We've experienced that on site where the alarm keeps ringing until you go there and press reset, and the hydrant system keeps pumping, because there's a leakage on one line that the jockey pump is having a signal from, and it keeps pumping, which is not supposed to. It should only pump whenever when the hydrant line is in use, but it's not in use. But because of limited experience with respect to inspection, with respect to the system failing, the flanges are bad. So there are all those little leakage always making the system fail. And with that, even reactive maintenance. Okay, this valve is bad. We need to change it. Okay, the next time there is a punctured hole in one of the mains line. And also the following week, the branch line again. That's the pipe that has this water stored in them. Should there be fire outbreak, it's connected to the sprinkler. But the pipes are weak, right? The integrity check, it's not always done. So there's always maintenance over and over. These are things we may experience on site, especially for assets when it comes to fire safety assets that are aging. And before you know, you keep on doing maintenance, you keep on having unplanned shutdown, and even during peak operations, when things are to be effective, then there are escalations and issue all around. So these are just an overview of challenges we might face on site, right? And from these challenges, it become overwhelming when doing our job effectively as facilities managers. But it still boils down to the parts of our attitude. Our attitude towards work, it's what speaks for us. For us to have the basic, for us to have the knowledge, for us to have the standard, right? And that keeps improving whenever we implement them or we keep record. There are at times that we keep record of some documents that are not always sent out. But because of we have that standard, we have that way of we doing our job effectively, it's there. So those are the things. So even though your system does not work in a way to integrate standard into it, but we should always have that standard in us. We should always use them regardless of if it is needed or not, so that keeps improving ourselves in the way we deliver our job as facilities manager. And the last challenges that we might probably be facing is redundant contract management. As a facility manager, there are different contracts we manage with respect to our assets. Just like the generator system, there's contract for the generator vendors to always, maybe after 150 hours or 200 hours, they come in and service the gen. It's same with our fire safety equipment. They need to always be serviced. Every 3 months, every 6 months, every year, annually, there are some certain systems that need to be serviced to make sure that it is working. At times you go to some companies and you see them testing the hydrant line. At times there could be debris in the pipe, right? So they believe that every month or every quarter they flush out the water and put new ones in them. These are things that should be done either by the in-house safety department if it's a big organization, or it should be contracted to a vendor that has experience and have passed through the vendor registration form processes to make sure that, yes, he's a competent vendor, a fire safety vendor that could carry out this job effectively. But those contracts have expired and they don't want to be renewed. You can see, and it becomes a deferred maintenance over time. It becomes a backlog of repeated issues that is still pending for it to be rectified. And organizations have chosen to continue to manage the system till a fire happens. That's the culture, right? Let's keep managing. Until there's a fire outbreak, then they could now take that step to do the needful. So these are challenges we face on our sites, right? But with these challenges, we should always get strength from it. Yes, we should always get strength from it and see how we can always improve ourselves and find processes, solutions to these problems. So now we'll be looking at 4 key approach as facilities managers: analytical approach, real-time skills for us to prevent or even protect our assets when it comes to fire outbreak. I call it the ABOT skills. That's the ABOTS: the administrative skill, the business skill, the operational skill, the technical skill, and the sustainability. So we're looking applied on how we can implement this skill. See, basically, solutions to our problem start with us, right? So you can only give out what you have, and it comes down to the point that it is more on the soft skill we have. It's like we being a step or 2 steps ahead of the process. It's a process that is already in place. We have SOPs already, right? But when implementing them, we need to have these soft skills that takes it beyond measure, and that is just it. So solutions to we preventing a fire outbreak in our facility? Just like I've said, it starts with the attitude, right? For us to eliminate that human error, that human factor. So what are the skills we need to make sure that, yes, we can prevent a fire outbreak in our facility? We need the administrative and business skill. We need to always maintain fire safety records. We need to always have audits in check. We need to always be consistent in our inspections. If we don't do this, it becomes a problem to us. It becomes like a bottlenecked system wherein you keep on having faults and fault and fault, and this is affecting the business. As facilities managers, we're also like a business manager, because so the facility, the business needs to keep running, the revenue needs to keep on being generated, right? So we need to always have records of our fire safety systems, our fire safety maintenance log. Do we have them? We should always make sure that we have this process on site. Why? Because of that is the best way for us to pass any audit checks. Audit checks is it starts with do you, right? We'll be seeing examples of how we can implement our inspection and audits in subsequent slides, right? But we need to start the process. So for you to pass any audit check, it starts with documentations, it starts with processes. As long as you are keeping record of them, either soft copy or hard copy, and there's a process, you're tracking process that, yes, you are improving the system, then you could always pass any audit check. And it starts with that, right? So when it comes to fire safety, it's good for us to have a fire safety record of every fire safety equipment on our site. We need to always have a periodic fire safety training for all staffs. Even when we feel there's no need, people think there's no need. Like, why should we keep on having fire safety for staffs? But we should always let them know the critical, fire does not come up just like accident. Accident does just happen by chance. It's always by human, right? And it's always not predicted. It's like an unplanned situation. So we need to be proactive to make sure that we have this periodic fire safety training with our staffs. All incidents should be reported. Even near miss should be reported. Near miss accident that there's no harm, no issue, but it happened. But it should still be reported so that the root cause will be checked and evaluated, right? And find a way to make sure that it does not happen again. Then we need to also document every action with respect to business continuity. So we need to have this skill with the mindset that we really want to prevent a fire outbreak in our facility. We should always keep records of every inspection, every check we do, either weekly, either monthly. It should be recorded, and whatever fault to find, we should check for the root cause, we should eliminate it, and we should document everything being done. The second is sustainability skill. So we should always try to implement eco-friendly fire suppression system, just like the FM200 and the Novec system. Yes, most of them, they're always installed in electrical rooms, right? So it starts with we understanding the fire safety equipment and best where to install them. So you don't just imagine you install a sprinkler system inside an electrical room. It does not make sense, right? Yet you see, you're trying to solve a problem, but you are creating more problem. Sprinkler is good to fight fire. It's part of the protection system, but based on you don't have that sustainability skill, it becomes a problem, and that could generate a fire outbreak. So it's always good for us to use suppression systems that are eco-friendly, right? So that when it's discharged, it does not cause any harm to the environment or even to the operator right on site. So buildings should be equipped with smart fire sensors embedded in sustainable fire-resistant material that doesn't act as a fueling point for ignition. For the fire triangle, it comes with the combustible material, right? The fueling, air, which is oxygen. So when you feed fire any of these any of this substance, it ignites and it keeps on going. So, but our skill should be based on how we can always fight it by using eco-friendly materials and best materials or best firefighting system that fits the situation. These are things we need to have so that we won't generate one mistakenly or probably future time that it could arise. We should also have the technical skill. We should understand the basic principle of all fire preventive systems in our site. How do they operate? What are the working principles? These are things we need to understand so that whenever there's an issue, we could find a way to quickly get them sorted. We should always conduct risk assessment, just like we said. We should leverage technology for early detection, and we should stick to our scheduled maintenance plan. Every firefighting system you have in your site, please don't result into reactive maintenance or run to failure. No, please always implement the planned preventive method. That helps because of before it happens, you've planned for it and you find a way to get it done so that a fire outbreak does not happen. So we need to understand how it's being operated and also the working principles of every asset so that when it comes to fire safety equipment, so that when there are issues with fire, we could always implement that. At times when we have this issue with false alarm, right? It's just basic for us to know, okay, and I'll need to check what is the cause of the alarm. Okay, which of the rooms, which of the floor. Then you go there to investigate and all that. Then you feel like everything is fine there. So why is this alarm beeping and all that? Then your skill comes in to say, okay, based on vendor relationship, you've asked questions from your trusted reliable. Probably you're waiting for the contractor to come in to check. And over time, yeah, said, okay, whenever this happens, this is what you should do based on your relationship with the vendor. He has given you about 70% of the solution to the problem. So I would say, okay, just remove the smoke detector or the heat detector. Probably there's dust in it, or it's sensing something that's something that shouldn't be, and you need to just blow it off. Then it stops. So they're just little things, technical skills we need to have. You don't need to start knowing how to install a fire safety equipment system or no, but basic principle of how it operates, the basic principle of installing of how it's being installed, and how which is shifted to how we can always continue to be effective to make sure that that system is serving its purpose, right? Then we can always try to prevent fire from happening in our facility. Then the fourth skill is the operation skill. So we should always be ready. We should lead. Yes, we should conduct and lead fire drill exercise. We should understand how to manage crisis and also how to investigate root cause of any possible actions on our site. And not just investigating it, documenting this process, documenting what happened and ways we can prevent it from happening again. So it could be monthly, it could be biannual, it could be yearly, but it should be monitored and processed. As facilities manager, one key thing, yes, we are good in running around, making sure everywhere is fine. But when it comes to documentation, it becomes a problem because of imagine having operations across board. Then you're not saying, okay, and then I need to now sit down with my system and upload all that in the CMMS or the CFM. It becomes a problem. We'll come tired. But as long as we keep on doing that, those data are stored. It can be referenced. From those data, we can make decision on what could have been the root cause, what could have caused it, and how we can always present it. So it's more than just being operationally available on site, but that's when it comes to the documentation. So when we conduct and lead fire drill exercise, partake in fire safety training, these are things we need to do on our sites. We should not just leave it to the vendor who are doing it. No, we should be part of it. We should act as marshals, right? Whenever fire drills are being conducted, and we should document every process, head counts, especially during fire drills. All these things are things that deal with documentation, and those are the things that are more effective in when we manage our process. So this is just an overview of an inspection checklist, which can be which you can develop audits from it, right? Just like I said, from audit, from inspection, it goes to audit. Inspection is just you go around and check to confirm that the processes are fine, operations are moving well. But audit requires you documenting that process. And not just for one-time purpose, one-off. No, it needs to be documented weekly. Some would say you need to document it every day. Yes, that is the stress in it. But from the stress, you can always get your strength in, because whenever there are issues or escalations, there are data you can fall back to. So audit now moves the track from inspection to you having a system that works, right? So over a period of time, were you able to do this inspection? What was the results? What was the feedback? How were you able to improve, monitor, and even develop standard processes from probably gaps that you feel are affecting your daily inspection each day? And these are just a summary of that, right? So when you inspect, right, you document, you analyze what you've documented, you monitor it, right? Then you can always improve the process. So here just having about 4 categories of firefighting system, and how often should we do the inspection, and how often should we carry out maintenance plan. So we should always, with the life safety, we should always inspect fire department connections quarterly, fire safety and emergency evacuations plan, that's always biannual. Then the fire drill too, every 6 months, which is biannual. Then building response personnel, that's the elevators, should also be biannual too, which these are things that could cause a fire outbreak and could also affect operations too. The manufacturer's elevator procedure, which is biannual. Then the test fire department connection mains. So these are public fire hydrant lines from the government, right? So it's always good for us to test that there's water in it, right? And before you test, you need to inform them. Their representative will come to your site. Should you have any of these equipment or assets on your site, they will come to your site and undergo this test with you. But it's always good for you to always do it once every year, right? And that's always best. Then we have the fire alarm panel and fire suppression. So these are we should always test for fire alarm panel batteries, the manual com points, the sounders, the flasher, the smoke and heat detectors. We should always do that every quarter. Yes, every quarter, every 3 months. We should also confirm the last service dates. Yes, it's always validated twice a year. That's a biannual process, but it's always good for you to do that annually with respect to getting um, a comprehensive document that yes, this was checked twice in a year, but it should always be done twice in a year, every 6 months. Then it becomes one file annually, which you will now present to the management that yes, this has been done. So these are evidences, document that even the audit department they request for. And also you should test control and communications from sprinkler head to the fire alarm control panel. So there's a way it is managed. That's from the fire alarm. So from the fire alarm, there's a communication cable to the uh, to the valve that opens the sprinkler head. But these are not sprinkler head that's closed. These are open sprinkler head. It works with a deluge valve, right? It's only the one that when it touches it, yes, it bursts. And that one is manual. It just works with a normal automatic hydrant pump valve. You understand? But there's always a connection with the deluge valve, that whenever there's a fire outbreak somewhere, right, the smoke detector senses it. It sends to the panel. The panel sends communication to the valve that opens up in the sprinkler area. And most times it's always in the warehouse area or times some tank farm too. So we should always do these tests. It's just for you to test twice every year. That's biannual. It's always good for you to have this test if we are affected with this need for us to aspire our site operations. And I want you to understand that all these things are limited with respect to it can be modified to suit your facility. So it's not a one solution fits all. No. As per our operations on site, we should always modify our process documentations to fit. So if you're managing about 2 to 3 sites, they're all residential. Believe me, you can't use about 60% of your process documents for one site for all. It should be modified to suit that site. So all these things are just the general spectrum of how we can be accountable to our fire safety systems, our plans with gas that. And we also talk about the pump too, our fire hydrant pump too. So these are things we need to take notes. We should always records readings, just like technicians or operators on site take readings from our generator system every day on the running hours, on our diesel consumption, and also if we were into renewable, what are the what's the kilowatts for PV generated or kilowatts on the load, and the accumulation if it's up to a megawatt and all that. So we should always take readings to of our fire safety equipment system. So we should always check, because I know the hydrant pump, it has electric, it has mechanical with respect to the generator too as a backup. So we should always take and check for all this weekly, because of you don't know when a fire outbreak will happen. So it's always good for you to always check for this weekly. Yes, it comes with our daily inspection, going around and checking that everything is fine. But we need to take that time to inspect this weekly and document our readings, our findings when it comes to this. The last is about the sprinkler system and the hose rails. So it's always important that we always check all our fighting fire safety systems. Yes, they are always critical on site. So it's always good for us to always check them. Most of them are always quarterly, monthly, weekly, as per the need of our operation. So at times in my own sites, I could always check weekly, right? But in another site, they could always check monthly. Some are always daily based on the risks associated with their daily operations. So these are just a preamble on how we could always understand how to be effective on our site as facility manager when it comes to fire safety, right? We should always know tasks and inspection to do either on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, biannual, or even on an annual basis. So these are things we need to be proactive on site. Yes, that's why it says we need to be operationally ready on site. So this is just an example of how we can have either the weekly or the monthly fire safety report, right? We need to always have this. It's a part of our process document, which as facilities managers, we can track our record and past data on how we are effective when it comes for we being fire safety conscious. First, the category of the exact firefighting system. Is it the FM200, or is it the fire alarms control panel, or is it the hydrant line, or is it a sprinkler? Yes, we should always categorize them. Which locations are they? Is it in the ground floor, the first floor, the second floor? Which of the spaces is it in the fire? Is it the smoke detector in the MD's office, or the it's detector in the kitchen? We should always specify each of where these assets are. So it takes we being effective by our attitude. Imagine itemizing all the firefighting equipment parts into a report. So every space, imagine having about 25 spaces in our facility, and each of them you are able to itemize every firefighting system there and its equipment part. Imagine highlighting a smoke detector, a manual call point, a flasher, all that in each location, and yet you're having a report on it. So there we have the column of the status, right? We've talked about the equipment type, which is the fire alarm, the smoke detector, the flasher, the sounder. Yes, we need to itemize all according to that space it is, because we'll be going to each space to inspect and to confirm the status of it. Then if there are issues, is it live? Is it idle? What is the comment? And if there's issues, you should also take a snapshot and paste in the report that, okay, this was what was found. And going forward next month, these are the improvements, or that is, it's a monthly report. Actions are already taken already. But in the final conclusion, recommendations, then you can also add, okay, this will be the next step to eliminate this, to rectify this. The vendor have been called in and checks are ongoing. It is in view and all that. So we should always have this. Just like I said, this can be modified. Every process document does not fit all. It can be modified to your own facility, right? And with that, we are improving the process to make sure that we are fire safety conscious and we are trying to always prevent a fire outbreak. So we'll be having a summary now on all what we've discussed, right? After the summary, we'll have an overview of everything. Then we'll now give way to our case study and also questions, please. So we have about a couple of summary on how we can be effective, how we can be operationally ready, and how we can manage our businesses as FM when it comes to fire safety. First, we should start with a clear goal. Like I said, the attitude matters a lot. It's always stressful, right? Round the clock, but our attitude matters a lot. And the more we give in to weakness, the more we are always redundant on our jobs. But we need to be proactive. So we need to start with a clear goal. So you can ask yourself, what are your goals to protect your buildings from a fire outbreak? What problems are you trying to solve per spaces? Once you have a clear vision, you can start to identify the specific smart solutions that will help you to achieve your goals to record zero fire incident. We've talked about this. not installing a sprinkler system in an electrical panel room. So we need to understand what are specific solutions, not just any solutions, but specific solutions. So you need to start with a goal. And from there, then you need to involve stakeholders, because they are the one that will approve any business case, any form of financial cost implications to whatever actions you're taking. So you need to involve the stakeholder and get their directive on it. So the physical assets are complex systems that requires from a variety of stakeholders, right? But you need to always balance their view on it so that they will see the main intention and what you're trying to drive at. We should schedule, test, and maintain the system. It is important to test and maintain all building fire safety installed systems on a regular basis to ensure that they are functioning properly. This will help to prevent problems, unplanned downtime, emergencies, and ensure that the systems are operating at peak efficiency. It is always good for us to have that. Then we should always monitor and analyze, and we should monitor, analyze, and improve the process. It's very, very key because of when you start a process, you would always see lapses. So you need to go back and see how you can cover up those stop gaps and try to make sure that the process is continuous. Over time, again, you review and you improve. So building management systems are most effective when they are regularly checked. So the building management systems are the plumbing features, the electrical features, the mechanical features, the fire safety features. All these things needs to be regularly checked to support fire safety processes. It's advised to document all data generated for review and record keeping. We should identify risks, stop gaps, and analyze incident reports that could pose a threat to fire outbreak. So whenever issues are on site, even though it's not related to fire, always document them, because you wouldn't know if that could have generated the fire, right? So it's always good to generate and have in your document portfolio every incident. As facilities manager, we should always have incident reports that we document, we keep, we store for us to always date back and check the root cause of any issues we have on site. We should always update fire safety plans, procedures, staff awareness, continuously monitor day-to-day operations, and most importantly, we should always have trainings biannual. Every 6 months. We should try and always train, update our staff on fire safety procedures that would help. We should check your building system regularly. So it's just like we're doing a check. Before you take the next step, we need to check again before that next step. Then we need to check again. So it comes with a clear direction. It comes with we being attentive. We should be intentional. Like I said, it starts with our attitude. Most fire incidents you see are human error. So we need to keep on checking and checking and checking. Not just checking randomly, but critical building systems that could pose a threat to fire outbreak. Then we should utilize our space. Good housekeeping is key too. Imagine if we are warehouse managers and we have materials scattered in disarray. That could pose a threat to fire, right? Because of at times these materials could be hazardous, or one or two chemical reaction could happen, and that could cause a fire. So we should utilize our space. We should always arrange things. We should have this culture of good housekeeping. Good housekeeping is not just it's not meant, the term does not come for custodians or cleaners. No, it comes with our workspace. If I'm into engineering and probably I'm working in a space that the AC is dripping water, it's cooling but it's dripping water, does that mean that, okay, after working there to rectify that problem, I should not clean up the water? We could cause probably a slip, trip, and fall to a staff that could walk into that space. Now let us talk about fire safety now. Good housekeeping, for instance, after probably you're to cut 2 meter, probably they are trying to have a maintenance of that is hot work, right? And 2 meters are being cut into pieces, and you feel that the spatters should not be swept. These are things that could cause fire. I'm probably not using a fire blanket to like a barricade and all that. So these are things that if we don't do them, it could cause fire, because of there's times we work with materials that are hazardous, right? And it's always good for us to read and understand specification, asset specification. Different assets has its specification. Specification are like document. It's like a nameplate, right? So we should be able to read and understand them. And most of these materials, they have like material safety data sheets, which they would inform you on things not to mix with this particular chemical or things not to put in place with this chemical. It should be separated probably 2 meters away or 10 meters away. Do not store this at a height of about 15 meters. So these are things that we should look forward to so that we could always manage our space, arrange it, and utilize it effectively. So fire safety is everyone's business. It's not just about the fire safety department. No, it's even the business of the FM department. So it's we should have this mindset that if it is not safe, I will not do it. Yes, and I will stop anyone from doing it. So for instance, you see someone that is welding and he feels that I don't want to wear my Google, the dark shade because of I just want to just do a little tag, right? And probably when he was now doing that little tag, there was spatter, right? And those spatter affected his eyes. Not just only affected his eyes, probably there's chemical around, and those spatters had to fetch on them, and a little fire outbreak happened, and the operator doesn't know how to handle the fire extinguisher because the fire extinguisher is not even in place. You can see one thing leading to another, right? And that's why I say if it is not safe, please do not do it. And if you see anyone doing it, please kindly stop them. Stop them from doing it. So we should always think safety, safety first, and safety always. So I think that's all for the presentation this evening. Lastly, we'll just discuss about the case study, the MMA one in Lagos, Nigeria, the fire incident. From the information shared to the root cause, they said it's a server room that started the fire, right? And what do you think might cause that? Probably my mind is driving to human error. That place is always hot. So these are things, they are key factors. That place is always hot, and probably the HVAC is not working well. And server rooms are limited. People don't just enter there. Maybe it's only one IT superintendent that enters there. And so you ask the question, when last has he been there to inspect the place, right? So one or two things will have led to one or two things, and it's mostly about human error. You could always do a root cause of, yes, it's electrical fault, it's mechanical fault, but what caused those faults are still human error. But I'll just leave the floor to discussion time. We could discuss more about the case, and also if you have any question, we could always discuss about that. So
Okay, thank you, Mr. Uduak. Thank you. I've actually written down or jotted down so many things from your presentation, and I would say it is really comprehensive and very easy to understand. I have my own question, but let me allow others to ask their questions first. Obafemi, okay, someone I can see a hand up. You can go ahead with your question. I can see B. Please go ahead with your question. B, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
yeah, good evening.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Uduak. I just want to ask a question based on this electrical panel room.
Okay.
You said something about FM 200. Then is it still compulsory when we have FM 200 in panel room? Then we now couple with fireboards. Is it compulsory?
Okay, fireboards for the wall reinforcement.
Yes.
That's the okay.
Yeah, because you did not talk about fireboards. But
okay, the balls.
in my own facility, the one I managed last, we have FM 200 and a fireball in the panel rooms.
Okay.
So I want
the fireball. Okay, yeah, it's fine. It's just like added backup plan. Should there be a fire incident? If you notice, the fireball is close to the panel, right? It's always installed close to the panel, yes. But the FM 200 are sprinklers or nozzles from the top, right? So it's just an effective way of you being proactive. So there's a tolerance of 1 to 5 in which you need to be proactive when it comes to fire safety. You having different options. Do you know that the first options to prevent fire are the cooling system inside the electrical panel room? Imagine you have ATS panel, just ATS panel. You know, human is there, but they installed HVAC systems in there. There are ACs in there, right? So the first step, so they are preventing because of the heat being generated, which could cause fire, right? There could be a fire outbreak. The HVAC unit is there that is preventing one. Now they're having engineered system when it comes to the sprinklers. That's the installed FM200, and it's a clean suppressant. That's why it's eco-friendly. It's a clean suppressant, and you're also having fireball close to the panel. No, that fireball ignites immediately the fire touches it, right? So
Yes.
yeah, so it's just like it's supporting fighting fire at that point in time. So they put the fireball close to the panel at both edge. Then the sprinklers, that's the FM2 and the nozzles, starts as secondary. So it's just being proactive to make sure that the fire does not continue more than maybe the tolerance could be maybe after 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I don't know if it gets, or even after a minute. So they are trying to reduce the risks of making that this fire outbreak, if it should happen, it should not exceed certain time because of their close solutions in place already. So that's why. I don't know if that's okay. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
We have
Obi,
more.
please, okay, yes, you help me. Should there be anyone, please just help me. Let them speak, please.
Mr. Abdul Habib Mohammed. Okay, Emeka, I can see your hands up. Emeka, after Emeka, we will go with the second person. Go ahead with your question.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to ask this question. Please,
Okay.
can you hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes,
please. I can hear you.
Okay. You talk more about data, having data, keeping data regarding fire history, and people like us that manage facilities, residential facilities that have not had any fire history. What kind of data do you think we can have or record we can keep so that in terms of when there's a fire outbreak, you can present something, you can have a data to even prevent it from happening in the future. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much, Mr. Emeka. So you should start with what are the fire safety equipment that are on my site. I know in every residential facility, there's always the fire alarm system, right? There's always the fire hydrant system. There are always the firefighting system, like the fire extinguishers. And it's always key, the trainings, the fire drill. So first, whenever there's a fire drill, that is always good for you to always incorporate fire drill into every process which you are putting in place. So there's a sheet when conducting a fire drill. It has parameters and data you need to impute. I may not have the copy now to present, but it has data like how many people are on ground when this fire drill was conducted. That's the head count, and also what was the response plan, response time when the occupants came out when they had the fire alarm, the sound down. Or so these are things that are being recorded down for the fire drill, and you should document. That's on the fire drill. On the fire alarm system, so you should always check the batteries. That's why I say you should always come in with a contractor that is registered and you know that yes can do the job. You check the fire alarm system. They service it every 6 months, right? You check the batteries. Are they still up to the rated voltage? You check if there are any alarm on the system. So every week you check. Is there? In fact, you need to check every day, but document it per weekly so that you won't have plenty of documents scattered around, right? You check daily during your inspection, but document it as per weekly. You check if there are any alarm on the system, you document it down. So it comes like a checklist, which you go through.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Please, I want to have a follow-up question regarding what you just said.
Okay.
Say fire drill and all those stuff. How do you present this to the kind of clients that don't believe there may be a fire occurrence, so they don't want to invest in such events? And again, the documentation I'm talking about, are you saying Excel documentation I keep it because most of us in our company we don't use paper. We use
There is
e-copies of
software.
everything. Everything always online.
Okay.
So the documentation, are you talking about Excel, keeping record in Excel format? And how do you present fire these and all that stuff to
Okay.
client? Thank you.
Okay. So do you use a software, an FM software, or just a customer service software like probably the SharePoint? You're talking about the SharePoint, right? What do you use on your site for documentation that are online, the e softwares? Is it SharePoint? Is there any specific one? Okay.
No.
Okay. So these are it is, those package, they have Excel format that you could always draft like a template that is always on the online version, which you can always go to, whether you are online or offline, you can always save them on cloud, right? If should be that's what you're using, it's fine. So there are different package in that software. All you need to just do is, I think there's the one that adds an Excel format in it, right? Impute these tabs, just like, let me just scroll through. There's a template rows that you could bring up. Like I said, you can always modify it to your site, right? And this is just an example, right? So just like Excel has sheet by sheet, week 1, week 2, week 3, then you put the month, you put the year, right? So just keep duplicating it, but you're always updating it on that shared point, right? So it comes with an instruction more like for inspections. Then you document each. If really it is effective on your site, you put in the status, you put in the comments, and if there are issues, you put in the image. That's for week 1 or month 1, probably January. Then February you go, but it's always good weekly. Then you compute it per month, right? So if you're doing that, just check part of the software package. There's an Excel format in it that you can use, which you could always use to update your report. The report starts with inspections. Your report starts with observations on site. So just sit down, understand your site operations, document it, impute them into the rows and column in that Excel package. Inside that's your software, right? Save it and duplicate it weekly, monthly, and you could always use it to track whatever is being done with respect to fire safety on your site. The second aspect is how you can present this to the business owner. So it's a simple, I'll just advise you draft just a 1 page so that it does not become too voluminous and they feel you're talking plenty, right? You should let them know it starts with this. Do a comprehensive cost of every asset in your facility, right? Do a comprehensive cost. Just like you going around with your asset register, it's always good for you to have an asset register of you having itemized assets and across board, right? Do a cost of it's just a simple analogy. Do a complete costing of every asset on site. Compare it with the cost for you to install a fire system, which needs to be operated and maintained annually. You would believe me that after doing that, the margin will be huge. Imagine you're having imagine the cost of a whole building. You can imagine the building at on the island that it got engulfed everything, that they'll need to tear everything down. So imagine the cost of having a complete building that's worth billions, and you're only installing a fire safety equipment of maybe about 10 to 20 million, depending on what you want to install. Some could go up to about 100 million, but it is worth it in the long run. You maintain about probably 5 to 10 million, but you're thinking about a chances of 5 to 10 years, 10 to 20 years, 20 to 50 years. It's there, it's already installed. All you need to do is always maintain it. So it starts with what is the overall cost of the entire asset itself, right? I imagine an unplanned fire outbreak, then the whole structure, the whole particular part of it is gone. That's one. Second is making them understand that it is compliance for him to have that. There's no building now that you will go to without a firefighting system, because it's part of regulatory compliance. You need to have it on your site, and there are bodies that go around to check that if really they're having, and you pay fine. If you don't have them on site, you pay fine. You can stand, you understand the approach. So the approach is about 2 to 3 ways. The first way is those assets are insured, right? And it costs a lot. And comparing it with me running a fire drill about 250,000 or 300,000 to prevent fire outbreak. And the occupants are happy that those things are in place because of they are also saving their own lives too, right? And also the part that you're not regulatory compliant to having this on site, no record for them, and it becomes a problem, right? And also the third one is the possible effects of having issues when it comes to your operations. You would always imagine a site without fire extinguisher, right? Or a site without uh, a fire alarm system. It becomes a problem. So these are just ways you can always, you understand your management more. I don't know your management, but you should find a way of presenting it to them in different angle that you know that you penetrate into their mind for them to understand the need for a fire drill, a need to always service their fire extinguisher, a need to have a fire alarm system on site, and a need to have a hydrant system equipped on that same site.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, sir.
All right, thanks so much, sir. Okay, I don't know if there are any questions.
Yes, we have another question. We have someone that raised his hand. We have Van der Fen Vin. You can ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah, I
can
can
hear.
hear you.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity. For us who are young into the profession, is always we're always happy to have these opportunities. Please, the question I want to ask is, there is this thing, I don't know if you are aware, sir. There is this new product that some people are marketing now in Nigeria that is called Fire Destroyer. I don't know, fire destroyer machines. I think I was opportunity to attend one of their presentation in one of the facility, and they will try to market it over fire extinguishers. And I sat and after the presentation, I said, though the arguments were many for me, but you know, for business people who are after their business, because for me, I was looking at this thing is all about this fire suppression, but what about the prevention aspect of the extinguisher that you are trying to eliminate here? In the case at the suppression time, you know, once it fades, it then means that everything, there will be no other, but at the prevention, there will also be an opportunity to fight. But at the fighting, when there's a failure, it then means that everything will be gone. So I want to know, sir, is it proper for us to do away with extinguishers and go with these fire destroyers?
Okay. Okay. So the fire destroyer, is it the ball type, right? Is it the ball type?
Yes. The ball type.
Okay.
They have different type anywhere. They have the one that they say they can be installed on panels and all.
Okay. Okay. So these are things that, you know, as facilities managers, FM practitioners, we think about long term. We think about also not just spending much, and we think about sustainability. This fire destroyer or the ball, the design is one off. You understand? It's something you get and use one off. But the fire extinguisher are things that you get and you could always refill them. So it saves cost. You understand? And someone also mentioned also in this room that says there's a fire destroyer, which is the ball type, and there's the FM200, and there could even be fire extinguisher. So these are just ways to make sure that they are fire safety compliant. They're trying to make sure that they don't want any risks at all. Even though it happens in less than 30 seconds, the fire is off. But the fire destroyer is one off. And you keep on buying, you keep on buying. At times it could just be there like that. Yes, you don't need to service, but the fire extinguisher is also a means of protecting, right? With aspect of fighting the fire. You understand? The ball too is also a way of protecting and fighting the fire. But we should understand that we're talking about the financial aspect of it, the sustainability aspect of it, and also the operational aspect of it. So if your budget can take up having all in place, fine. If you can just take up only the extinguisher, fine. If it's just the ball, fine. But people always prefer the extinguisher and use the backup as that's the fire destroyer as a backup because they feel it is sustainable in the aspect of you could always refill, right? You could always check, and it is always easy to handle. So it's all about choice and also our operations on what management wants. So whenever they review situations like this, I don't know if that answers the question. So it does not
Yes,
eliminate
sir.
fire extinguisher. It's just about choice. Just choice.
Oh, no, but in a case, I just want to because some of this is also when when recommendations are being made. Sometimes there are inputs that are needed from the facility manager side. Now, in a situation where this thing is business, and in a situation where management feels that we want to have one out of these two, which ones are in your own case? Which one do you think is more recommended?
No, that's so I would not want to uh so I won't want to be specific on which is recommendable. They are all fighting systems. You get so and it depends on the space where you are installing them too. That is always key. And most times the what you are fighting it with. That is, there are different classes of fire and the extinguishing property and component of this fire. So it's all about what you want to use it for. What space are you installing it? It's so they count it as a universal firefighting equipment, right? But we should also factor in the instances of what really am I extinguishing. You understand? So it depends on what you want to use it for. That's just it. And it's not really, it does not eliminate the first responder, right? It's always there, which is the sprinkler or the nozzles for the FM200. But you understand, so it depends on the operation and how you want to. Let me just put it that way. You know how fire extinguisher works: the pass, the pull, the aim, the squeeze, and the spray. And also, will I be able to use that in that particular space I want to use it? You understand? Or the ball itself works. So, and that ball, it's not as if immediately it senses fire, it ignites. I don't even get. You understand? You don't need to start pulling. So it depends on what you want to use it for, how your operation works. And I don't know if that works. I don't know if that's fine. You could always have contributions too from the room. But I think that's just it. So it depends on what you want to use it for. Yeah, the space, the need, and all.
Yeah, Mr. Udrak, let me add to that. It's just to,
Okay.
yeah, you've actually explained it. They say you carry out, you stated it when you're doing a presentation, that you carry out a risk assessment of your space and know the fire hazards inherent in your work. It will help you to determine the particular equipment or the firefighting or protection devices you will install. Okay, if you don't have server rooms, if you don't have equipment rooms in your facility, there is no way you can be installing FM200. Just if you don't have if you have electrical rooms, there's no way you can put sprinklers as your first responders. So I think it boils down to the organization getting a specialist, people that can carry out a comprehensive audit of their processes and then advise them on the protection equipment or systems that they can install. So that is the only way we can answer his question. He is probably expecting you to advise, maybe to tell him to get the fireballs or to limit it to FM. No, it does not work like that. It does not work. I think maybe after this training, he could maybe call you for guidance.
Okay, yeah, that will work. Thanks so much, Ubi.
Yeah. And then I have my own question, but Mr. V, we've answered you. At least you got some insights from what he explained, right?
Yes. Honestly, I understand. I get. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
The only question I have is, when you started your training, you said that it's important to have a fire system in place or to get the facility managers involved throughout the building process or the life cycle of a building. from the design or from the conception, design, plan, design, construction, handover, commissioning, and all those things, and disposal. But the challenge that we have in the FM world is that we are not always, they don't call us when they are doing the planning and the design. That is the only problem we have. And I know I read about this Building Safety Act, you know, that of 2022, the one in UK. It's the new framework is that the gateway system, starting from the inception of the building, the planning, the HSE body or agency, they must be involved. You can see, and they did not just end there. They also had a retrospective on framework, buildings constructed before the act came into existence. You can see they gave opportunities for even people that does not understand what a building is expected to have in terms of protecting them. They can go and make like their enforcements, okay? But it does not, it's not applicable in Nigeria. In Nigeria, I think after handover, after the design and construction, you're your own. Okay, so that is the challenge we have. We don't know, they don't get us involved. I don't know if there is any regulation that is out now. I don't know, where they say all these development companies must have a facility. Everybody claims to be facility managers now, you know. So I don't know how, yes, I don't know how we can start getting involved at the planning stage, because some developers can claim they have knowledge on everything. Truthfully, they have. But we are the users. We maintain the facilities that they build or they construct. So we have more knowledge on the usability or functionality of those facilities. We can advise them when they are planning. But how do we position ourselves to get involved at the planning stage? It's always difficult. I don't know, something on ground already where they can incorporate facilities managers in their processes from inception. If not, is at the after handover, they will call you managers as if we are magicians, as if there are things when did this thing in the air and miracles will start happening. And another problem we have is that documentation. This is another thing that Building Safety Act, in fact, one of the major things it said is about documentation, building records. Because if you see the incidents that made the Building Safety Act, the new act to come up of 2022, so is that fire that happened in London, where a facility about how many floors, I think they lost 60 lives or 72 lives. Many people injured, and then they said it is the highest residential destruction, fire destruction so far recorded. Okay. They now made mention of documentation. They said they brought out the as-built plan and discovered that what they planned was not what they used in building. Okay. Here, you can imagine what will happen, because I did a report where I compared that act with what is obtainable in Nigeria, and we still have a very, very long way to go. So how are there agencies that that are empowered to enforce some safety rules at the planning stage? I don't know. That's where I say I'm going to ask you, because your presentation, yes, you mentioned it, but we are now doing like we are now reacting. They've already developed, constructed, and things that we can do to manage and maintain. What happens? The main root cause happens when they are planning it, or that is where we put cases to. So what should we start thinking of doing? What can we do to get facility managers involved at the planning?
So thank you, Obi. That observation, and even from the data you just shared, said it all. It's always not easy, but the narrative is changing because of now. property owners are paying through their noses. You know why? Because imagine erecting a building about, let me just use for instance about 20 million, and in 6 months you are doing maintenance for about 8 to 10 million. That is what is happening, right? So they are now understanding the need for us to come in as facility management practitioners to support them from the planning stage. Not all have grasped the need for that, but now they are trying to see the need for us to come in during the planning stage. But it's something we cannot just eradicate or eliminate just like that. So that's when we come in as we've been proactive in the way we do things. And just like I said, our process documentation, which you made reference to, documentation is key. So what our advice is situations like that wherein the FM come in during the operating and maintenance phase of every development cycle, they should always have a clause to make the property owner understand that I'm coming in. I wasn't involved throughout the whole phases of this whole asset you just handed over to me. But this is something I will need to do. I will give you a report on that, and from there we could now kick off with the contract. So I will always advise every FM, whenever they go into a new space, they should always do a facility conditioning assessment. They should always make sure that they take record and data of the entire facility, even though it's looking brand new. But we know that it's not really looking the way it is because of some integrity check and tests that will be done by experts. So it comes with a cost. It comes with costing to make sure that that is done effectively. But let them understand that we need to do a facility condition assessment to really ascertain that what has been handed over to me is an asset that would serve its purpose. And another aspect of we being part of the process, especially at the tail end, is we having a good vendor and contractors relationship. We should try and understand the builders. Is it TIB? Is it ITB? Is it we have different construction company around today that are into building and construction, right? So we should always have a close relationship with the site engineer or with the site manager. They would always have someone that would walk us through the entire building system. And that's what they refer to as reverse engineering. So reverse engineering is just like you, you going through the entire process from the design, that's from the whole 3D design, right, to the as-built. They will take you through the entire process in blueprints and also in person into the system. So they let you understand that from here, from floor 1 to floor 2 to floor 3 to floor 4, just like that. So they take you throughout the entire process on how things network, on how everything are channeled, on how every connections are made. So it comes with that good relationship. So it's not about going to a space and they'll be like, okay, this is the new FM company taking over. So why did the property owner give the contract to us? Why are they giving it to someone else? So, but you need to balance that kind of situation. You need to get them to your side. You need to understand that. They need to let them understand that you are not there as an enemy, but you are there to support the whole process. You guys are the one that built all this, right? And we're only here to maintain. And we are here to make sure that what you guys have built lasts beyond expectation. You understand? So there they will now, when you've gotten that balance, that relationship is there, then you now request, certainly during the handover, drawings to be shared, as built trainings and all that. But that one-in-one conversation with a walkthrough throughout the whole building process on how things are networked and channeled is very, very key. So they are the one that will now walk you through. Then you cannot be seeing some little lapses, but you won't pull those lapses out or you won't try, no, but you take note of them. Those are the lapses you will now put into your facility conditioning assessment for you to present to the public. Okay, these are what things, not you are trying to flag that the building is bad, no, but these are things we need to correct to make sure that this is effective. And to build that relation, you let the contractor know, okay, these are the things I'm seeing. They know, but you let them know these are the things they are seeing, but we need to take necessary action to resolve this, which all snacks would need to be closed out before you guys leave site, probably in 3 to 6 months. Right? So it starts with the facility conditioning as well. Let the client see these are the things, right? These are the faults, these are the snacks. And that relationship with the contractor is always key. And for you to have that reverse engineering, you've valued the engineering already, you've valued the project. But you need to go back and start all over again to know how it is being networked, right? Because of you are the one there to builders they've gone, but you are the one there to operate and maintain. So you need to understand how the building is being, how it is being built for it to serve its purpose. So that when you're operating and maintaining, it will be easy for you to do your job well. And with that, there won't be much lapses like it's not look at, oh, it's the FM company that is not doing that job, because that's what it boils down to, right? There was like the FM is not company, the FM company is not doing that job. But if you take these steps, this process, there are other processes you could also take too. But these are just the three that just came to mind now. And with that, certainly it would always fall in line. And like I said, the narrative is changing. Yes, some developers, some building properties owners, so they are making sure that FM comes in place as consultants, and they are within the team to make sure that they achieve what they want to achieve.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Obi, thanks. I don't know if that works.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry guys for the long time spent on this, but I don't know if there are any hands up. I think I should stop sharing.
No. But we don't have more questions. So you can go ahead with the case study.
Just briefly, the case study about the MMA1 with the fire incident, the report shared was that it came from a server room, and we are certainly sure of what server room entails. We know there are limited access there. We only have one person or two, but it's always from the IT manager or the head of IT. People don't go there anytime. So, but we need to always make sure that those locations, we need to effectively communicate with the lead department or the requesting department that, okay, this needs to be checked weekly, if not every day, right? Because of you come give me access, but weekly we need to check to make sure the HVAC are working. Because of normally in a server room, fire would always occur when the HVAC is not working well, right? And nobody will know if the HVAC, they know it's a centralized unit, if really it's working. So, but I don't know if anyone has any contribution from the report shared on the root cause. The root cause was it came from a server room, but it all boils down to human error. Because it always boils down to human error because we are the one maintaining the building system. So, but I don't have any. If anyone has any contribution to that, please. The fire incident at MMA1 Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay, I've not actually seen the report, but I've managed facilities where there are server rooms. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, the cooling system is key. The equipment there, they are like the storeroom of every. I don't know how to put it anyway. But there's actually happened where the facility that I managed, and it's the case, the root cause was poor housekeeping. Poor housekeeping.
Error.
Yes, we had technicians, or they are always fortifying their is a telecommunication, always fortifying, having people coming to the site and working. And this set of people or vendors, they came, finished working, and they left. Littered the whole place with cables, papers, cartons that they used to remove their whatever installing, it was a case. And when they started analyzing it, every incident, they carry out incident investigation. We saw that when they were signing the contracts, they actually signed that they will be carrying out proper housekeeping, because they called them when they contact, they say no, but they have janitors there. Not knowing that their contracts, they signed that they will carry out proper housekeeping. That means they will tidy the place before they leave. They left it to janitors that does not understand what a technical, they don't even know how to clean. If you want them to clean, you'll be there and they are doing the cleaning. But the technician, you are trained to know how to clean and how to raise wires to pick things that entered where they're supposed to enter. Then another case that we had was they finished doing normal housekeeping, and it happens that the detectors there trapped, they detected dusts, and it can it now the panel, there'll be a fire, it will activate a fire mode, but it not necessarily fire. But for the sensors, picked deaths, or like call them particles that are suspended in, it activated fire. So what am I still saying in essence? There is a whole lot of like call them technical skills or knowledge required to manage sensitive facilities. If you are a facility manager, you need to train. Training does not necessarily mean that you will pay. You just get the knowledge. Some of all this knowledge, if you press your phone instead of watching Netflix like myself, just go online and Google. It is there for you to know. This one we trained, we investigated what activated this fire mode on the tunnel. It was another FM that came from another facility that I said, unless when they asked questions about how everything, when the last PPM was done, how it was done, they used this one, they activated their suspended particles, and they now said, okay, let them clean all those detectors. It's so dark. When
it does.
Everything stopped.
Imagine.
So I think we should know more. Little tiny knowledge dropped there, and we don't pay attention. We don't put them into practice. Okay, so that's what we say that happened at the airport. They are saying the police it could be if you check, maybe somebody left something there. I don't know, but anyway, but I'm another thing that happened that people did not really look into, or thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yes.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you very much, Udak. Thank you for the presentation, and I also want to appreciate everyone that has joined this evening. I think we should be rounding up any moment from now, but I need to share an experience. When you I was trying to relate it when you said human error, and I remember vividly when you talk about server room. I've managed a server room that caught fire before and everything burnt down. And what actually happened? The same AC. And you know that in server room, the AC works 2-4.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always advised, anytime I go for any inspection or I take over a facility, and a server room does not have backup units, it's always an issue for me, because it has happened to me. In this particular case was because the AC was running at a point, it got overheated, because it works 247. Only 2 ACs in that unit, and 2 of them are working 247. Eventually, one got, heated up at a point. The technician was on ground, though. He saw it, and, he was trying to go down to get attention to say, this AC is actually smoking, is overheating, and, fire was coming up. Before he could get attention, get to the first floor, I think that server room is located, is the first or second floor, the AC was already on fire. Before they could do anything, before they could get a extinguisher, do anything, the whole thing was escalated. So AC is very critical when it comes to server room. Let's be sure we have backup units, backup ACs. If there are 2 coolings that are sufficient for the server room at the time, if the cooling for 2 ACs are sufficient at the time, make sure you have like 4. Make sure you have like 3, minimum 3. So that at a particular point in time, maybe on weekly basis or whatever, you could put off one, switch on the backup and things like that, to ensure that you don't allow one AC continuously running. Because if you look at that MMA2, at a closer look, it might be that the AC, that same AC has worked for the past 2 months non-stop. You get? And it's electrical, you have electrical components, and in cases like that too, it also affects the maintenance, because it's working before. you don't want to switch it off to do your normal maintenance. It becomes an issue.
Mm.
There are deferred maintenance, some repairs, some minor things are overlooked because when you put it off, the server room will be hot. And everybody tends to let's manage it, and it can eventually. So let's ensure that we always have backup ACs in our server room. That's very critical. Thank you very much for
Mm.
your time. I
Yeah,
really
thanks so
appreciate it.
much, Mr. Chinedu. Uh, our time is okay.
Yes, we have actually spent 2 hours. Although it's an interesting one, and I
Hand is
don't
up.
think anybody, people are not feeling that people want to hear. I think someone even raised his hand when Chinedu was talking. I
Yeah,
think so.
his hand is still up. Larry, watch you, please.
Yeah, let the person go.
Yeah, good evening. Sirs. Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good
Good
evening.
I
evening.
add to what my colleagues actually talk about the fire incident. So, from my own end, I would like to say that in addition to what other people have said, there's need for proper check, as a routine check on daily basis. That's why the fact that the server room is a restricted place or space, that does not remove the fact that there's need for regular daily check. Are you getting me? From the officers that they are in charge. So in addition to that, we can actually use technology to actually monitor the condition of the space. I want to believe a standard server room should have a smoke detector that is connected to a fire alarm panel that is active. So that actually boils down to the aspect where our trainer said there's need for equipment that are active, and people should be checking the condition of the equipment regularly, and service must be carried out on that equipment PPM as scheduled. Then in addition to that, also we can actually use IoT, Internet of the Thing, as in we inculcate or integrate a sensor into that server room, so that at every point in time, if the condition of the place, the temperature is not okay, it's beyond the regular, the standard. So wherever we are, the concern or the stakeholders will actually get an alert on their phone, on their system, that okay, the temperature of this space, the server is at so degree, so they can quickly take action. So from my own experience, where I worked some time ago, we have something similar in place, so that even in the middle of the night or as early as possible, maybe as 5 a.m., different people that they are connected to that sensor, that their system are connected to that sensor on their phone, they get alert. So they can easily talk to people on site, even if the security they are sleepy, or the technician they have nice shift somewhere sleepy, they can actually get in touch with them. Please go and check the server room. The temperature we are getting is not in order. So that actually went a long way to save the situation whereby you can have a fire breaking out in the server room. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Olariwaju. Yes, that's backed with facts here. So it's good we eliminate human errors. Faulty installation error over time could lead to fire outbreak, and we should always check, and recheck. It's just briefly, the incident I had one of my sites was the indoor unit for one AC, and the the cabling were overheating, and instead of using insulation tape, they used a paper tape. That's got the entire indoor unit burnt. So we should always check installations. It might not happen in 2, 3 months, 6 months, but the ninth month there could be issues. So I really appreciate everyone on the call. So Obi, over to you, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Udrak. Thank you. We have learned a lot, and the thing became like a gisting class. So thank you so much. We are going to share the slides. We'll drop your slides on the platform. Chinedu is going to do that. And I believe all of us, we've actually learned a lot. We are going to be having another session next month. Mr. Chinedu is going to tell us about it, either next month or in April. And I want to use this opportunity to thank everybody that stayed these 2 hours. I want to thank Obafemi. I want to thank Biyi, Mr. Vin. I want to thank Olokoba, Adeni, Abdulhaman, Emeka, and I think some of them they have dropped. And I also want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Udrak. We'll be calling you again. You know, they said Oliver. Oliver is always Oliver Twist that wants more and more and more. So we'll be calling you again. Another section is going to be more operational. Since from your profile, we can see you have this wider experience. So we'll go into more operations and maintenance this time around. And also Mr. Raymond will say a big thank you. So thank you, Mr. Udrak. Mr. Chinedu, I don't know if you have something to say before we call it a day.
Okay, thank you. Just to say a very big thank you to Jack. I think you can hear me. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
we can hear you, sir. We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Udwak, for doing justice to this. We've actually spent about 2 hours, and I want to believe it was not a time wasted. We have learned. I was actively listening all through because I needed to learn. Because fire does not know adults, fire does not know a child, fire does not know anybody. It's not by age. When fire comes, it has come, and we need to be careful. We need to be equipped with the necessary knowledge and so that we can either prevent or to be able to, implement whatever recovery or whatever recovery measure that we have in place to ensure that it doesn't cause, much harm if it happens. So thank you very much for the time and everything you have put together and the knowledge that we have learned. And for everyone that is here that joined and are stayed till now, appreciate you. Thank you. The slide will be on the platform as soon as we get it. And for those that couldn't join also, and for those that are also here, we also make the recordings available, which will be on the YouTube platform for us to continue to listen at any time we want to listen to the lectures again. We'll also be looking forward to next lecture or next webinar. Most likely it's going to be in the month of April. We want to be doing 2 months for now, so that it could allow us space to be able to do other things. But for now, we want to do 2 months intervals until we might get back to the normal monthly what's it called intervals we were doing before. But just to help us to make necessary plans and also to ensure that we are properly prepared for the teaching and for the training. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, everyone that has joined and has stayed here now. Thank you, Obi, for coordinating. Thank you. See you next time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. With this, we are calling it a wrap. Thank you, Mr. Udrak. I wish everybody a blessed new month. I'm wishing everybody happy new month because in few hours we'll enter the month of